Okay, hi. Welcome to my stream. I am going to start by switching my thing over. Last time I was told the music was a little low, so I raised it up a bit. Hopefully it's not too loud now. Of course, I say that just as the music fades to zero. All right, so I'm going to refresh this because we're on day 6 now of Advent of Code, and as you can see, I haven't done anything since day 3. So let me hit refresh. Yeah. And so I'm going to start with day 6 because today is day 6. I don't have anything here, right? And I thought yeah. So I made some modifications to day 3. I did some code cleanup and refactoring after the stream was over. This might have been just at the end of the stream, and then I did a refactor of it, and we can take a look at that real quick. On day 3, I changed it to use, instead of strings, I wanted to try it out with numbers, integers, and then just use bitwise comparisons to do the bit shifting and whatnot, or the bit checking and whatnot. And then ended up with this kind of a match statement, which is not as easy to read as all of this. So I'm not all that enamored with what happened to it as a result of the refactoring. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, so it's in there both ways now. Once as a, once is with strings, which is fairly easy to read. I think you can see what's going on here. And then once with this match statement where I'm trying to figure things out and do a collect and a sum and all that kind of stuff. So that's how things ended up. And then there was, as it gets show head like this, yeah. And then there was a suggestion by Clippy to change this for n in nums. I changed it to this, and that was something that Clippy came up with. And I'm not sure how Clippy determined that was something that was useful, but I find this also hard to read. Intermute, enumerate, take bit width on the count array, but it is what it is. So let's dive into day 6, because today's day 6, and then if there's time, I will circle back to 4 and 5. So what is day 6? Day 6 is lanternfish. The seafloor is getting steeper. Maybe the slate keys got carried this way. Oh, that's right. Where the slate keys got dumped overboard, and they happen to have a submarine for retrieving things from the ocean floor. A massive school of glowing lanternfish swims past. They must spawn quickly to reach such large numbers, maybe exponentially quickly. You should model their growth rate to be sure. Okay, so this might be a problem where we have to deal with mods. Although you know nothing about specific species of lanternfish, you make some guesses about their attributes. I just want to check my mic level here. Yeah, that looks okay. All right. Surely each lanternfish creates a new lanternfish once every 7 days. Okay. I don't know how we intuit that, but we intuit that. However, this process isn't necessarily synchronized between every lanternfish. One lanternfish might have 2 days left until it creates another. Creates another lanternfish. All of them might have 4, so you can model each fish as a single number that represents the number of days until it creates a new lanternfish. Okay. Further, you reason a new lanternfish would surely need slightly longer before it's capable of producing more lanternfish, 2 more days for its first cycle. All right. Okay, so suppose you have a lanternfish with an internal timer value of 3. After 1 day, its internal timer value becomes 2. After another, it becomes 1. After another, it becomes 0. And after another day, its internal timer would reset to 6. And we create a new lanternfish with a timer of 8. All right, so it goes 8, 7, 6, all the way to 0. And then it goes 6 to 0, 6 to 0, 6 to 0. Okay. After another day, the first lanternfish would have an internal timer of 5. And the second would have an internal timer of 7. That makes sense, right? Because it goes 6 to 5, that one, and this one goes 8 to 7. A lanternfish that creates a new fish resets its timer to 6, not 7, because 0 is included as a valid timer value. The new lanternfish starts with an internal timer of 8 and does not start counting down until the next day. Okay, so restating that. Realizing what you're trying to do, the submarine automatically produces a list. How does it know? Of ages of several hundred nearby lanternfish or puzzle input. For example, suppose you were given the following list. Oh, yeah, so this is growing. So they were talking about exponential growth, right, at the beginning of the problem. And this is definitely along those lines. So we might have to think about the best way to model this. Each day 0 becomes a 6 and adds a new 8 to the end of the list, while each other number decreases by 1 if it was present at the start of the day. In this example, after 18 days, there were a total of 26 fish. Okay, so that's our first test. After 80 days, there would be 5934. Find a way to simulate lanternfish. How many lanternfish would there be after 80 days? So starting with 5 lanternfish, right? After 80 days, there's 6,000 of them. What does our puzzle input look like? Lots. Probably 100. If I do a search for comma, oh, there's 300. So there's 300 lanternfish. After 80 days, that's going to be ginormous, right? So we don't want to model it as a string of ints. That would be insane. Okay, well, so while we think about that, let's set up for day 6. We're going to leap off day 4, day 5. We will come back to those if there's time. Day 06, and then we'll put day 06, day 06, that, and that should fail. Good. And so now we'll create a new source. Oh, we have to make the directory, make dir source day 06, right? Because I'm doing all in subdirectories. I am. Source day 06 mod.rs. Let's just print out just to make sure this now compiles. Okay, so we're getting this working. So thinking about how to do this, let's write instead of having a list of 6,000 or 6 billion or however many it's going to end up being after 80 days, fish, what we can do is model how many fish are in each day, right? And we have 0 to 8, so there's 9 different days that we have to worry about. So if we create an array, let's say this 3, 4, 3, 1, 2 array, list of fish becomes 0 on day 0. There's 1 on day 1. There's 1 on day 2. Oops. There's 2 on day 3. There's 1 on day 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all become 0. Right? And then after 1 day, it'll be 2, 3, 2, 1, 0. So that'll be, everything gets shifted down by 1, right? Like that. And after 3 days, now we suddenly get a new fish. After 2 days, we suddenly get a new fish at the end, right? So it becomes 1, 2, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, right? And then after 3 days, it becomes this. And what we have to do is remember, 1, 0, 2 1s, a 2, and then there's a 6, right? I almost missed that one. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This becomes 1. All right. So can we model things that way? Let's write a quick parse function and see what that looks like. It's going to take in a string, let's say, which is just a line, and it'll produce a vec of. Now this might get really big with 300, so let's do U64s. Right. All I'm trying to do is produce this vector here. So we need to split these out and then assign them. So let b equals line.split, split on the commas, and then we want to parse each one. We have to map map them to parse them, right? Parse, unwrap, and hopefully Rust can infer the type. The type, because these are going to be the indices into here, right? So we're going to just go through and add one. So the result is vec of 9, a vector of length 9, right? And then we're going to say for number in v. This is our list of things. We should have a bunch of integers now. Actually, they need to be u sizes because we're going to say result num plus equals 1, right? And then just return result. Like that. So we're going to go through the 3, 4, 3, 2 and generate a result of numbers. And we can actually test that, right? Let's write a test. Use super star, make the test, and then we're going to say test parsing, and we're going to say assert equals parse of 34312 dot toString, because it's a string, is equal to the vector of this guy, right? So that should be true. Right? This should map into this, and that tells us we parsed correctly, except we don't have a thing. Not found in this, number. And consider giving v a type, so v should be a vec view size. So I guess it couldn't infer the number has to be a u size, so therefore v has to be u size, therefore when we do the collect it has to be a size. Maybe that's too far indirect. And then we're getting warnings, but I think that's because parse is not being used. And if we run the test, it did not work. Left is this, and right is this. Did I have one extra number in there? So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did. Okay. So that means we can get rid of this extra 0 at the end. It still checks, and it tests. Okay, so we were able to parse. Now can we do a cycle? Up here, we will figure out how to cycle these guys. And we're going to pass in a fish, not a file, and we're going to pass in a U64 slice. Because Clippy's been telling me always to switch vecs to slices whenever possible. And how many cycles are we doing? And that'll just be a U size. And then we want to return how many fish there are. And that's just going to be the sum of the vector, right? So that's going to be easy to compute. And that's going to be a U64 also, because it's just summing up all the U64s that are in the vec. All right, so for each cycle, what are we going to do? We're going to say the fish at position 0, however many there are there, however many are at position 0 get added to the 6th position, right? And then copied to the 8th position. But we want to copy them after we shift everything down. So let's do it this way. Let's say the new fish that we're getting, that are being spawned, is whatever's in fish of 0, right? Right? And then we can say fish of 7, right, gets those new fish. Then we can loop from 1 to 9 and shift down the fish by 1, right? And then set fish of 8 equal to the new fish that we just bred here, or that just spawned here. And then after we finish cycling through all of those, fish iter sum. We can iterate over that slice and then sum it up. How does that look? Oh, for I in. Oh, hang on one second. Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, so that is an easy. Oops. Let's check the next error is missing in. It's the same one. Mismatched types. Oh, I put a semicolon at the end there. Okay. That's that one. Now we have 3 errors. Oh, it has to be mutable. Okay. Fish is a reference. Oh, maybe that's because it was mutable. Yeah, okay. There we go. Sorry, because it wasn't mutable, it was throwing it up as a reference, and therefore it wasn't able to do this, and now it's mutable, and so we can do this. Okay, so now I can write another test. Test 18 days, right? And we can say let x equals parse 34312.toString. And then we can say assert equal cycle of x. Oh, we have to pass in mutable reference to x. And then how many cycles? 18 is going to be equal to 26. Is that true? Cargo test. Cannot borrow is mutable because I didn't make it mutable. I'm still a Rust beginner. Oh, and I didn't save. Oh, okay. Let me fix that. After FTP Rust, because I want this to save when I run test. Yeah. Here we go. WACR. Okay, and now I have to restart NVim, but that's okay. We can run cargo test here. Oh, it passed. Okay, so that cycle code works. I'm worried because of oh, yeah, it's not in my thing yet. So can I do files? And day 06. There we go. All right, I'm worried because this is going to be a little slow, and my brain is kind of working in the background trying to think of how we can speed that up. And I think we can speed it up by using an index instead. But let's say 80 days. 80 shouldn't be too bad, right? Let's just copy this code here. Make that 80 days and then change this to 80 days. And it should be, come on, here, 5934. It checks and it tests 80 days works. Okay. So that means we can actually use our test input now and try it out. You know what? I'm going to cheat and just put it right in here. Let lanternfish equals this dot toString. That's a long piece of text. Okay. That's our test input. And then what we're going to do for part 1, day 6, part 1, is going to be just equal to, we're going to parse it first. I said lanternfish. Okay, lanternfish. What do we call it? A school. A school of fish is equal to parse lanternfish. And then we're going to call cycle on school. And it says how many lanternfish would there be after 80 days? So we're going to do 80 days right away and see if this works. I do not have cargo run here. I guess not. That's something else I'll have to add. There. I thought I had that, but I must have it on a different box. And map leader R WA CR cargo run CR. Okay, one more try. Cargo run. Oh, yeah. This has to be a mutable reference to a vec. And this has to be mutable as well because we're mutating it inside the cycle function. That all checks. Run. And we got part 1. We got a number. Ah, it's the right answer. Okay, so what do we need to fix here? We need to fix this. Needs to be capital so it's consistent with everything else. There. We can get rid of these lines. And yeah, I mean, this all works. So like I said, I'm worried about part 2 being something crazy that would take too many CPU cycles for this kind of a thing. And I think we can make it shorter, or at least different, by doing a mod cycle. Instead of shifting everything down, we can just have an index that points to the current mod. Let's check that. Okay, so git, let's do this. Git add source, git, oh, we didn't clippy this. Oh, it's like the clippy thing. It's good. Git add source, because it probably reformatted. Git commit -m day 6 part 1. Push that up there. All right. So that's day 6 part 1. And now we need to do part 2. What does part 2 look like? Part 2, all the way down here. Suppose the lanternfish live forever and have unlimited food and space. Would they take over the entire ocean after 256 days? There would be a total of this many. How many lanternfish would there be after 256 days? I'm guessing with my puzzle input. 06. Nope. All right, so let's just test this to see if it doesn't blow up. Test 256 days. And it's just these lines here, right? And change this to 256, and change this to this giant number. Save it, test it. 256 days. Oh, it worked. It worked. It worked, and it was very quick. So maybe the shifting isn't that bad. All right, we'll do 256 here for part 2. Is that all we need to do? Really? It's a ginormous number. Glad I use U64s. That's not the right answer. My answer is too high. Oh, I know why. Duh, I mutated these things, right? The first time, so 80 days are already gone. Now I have to wait a minute. Okay, well, while we're waiting, we can at least get the new number. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It got big fast, right? Because I did an extra 80 days and it got that big after 256. Wow. All right. Is a minute up yet? Is a minute up yet? How about now? How about now? Okay, return to day 6. Git status. I think this is all we need to do. Diff. So I added that test. I added this. I subtracted the 80 there. I'll do that, but I won't commit it until we verified. All right. Are we done? Did we come up with the right answer? Is a minute up? That's the right answer. Okay. So that was the problem. I just didn't take the original 80 into account. That's how they get you, right? Git commit -m day 6 part 2. Git push. Okay, so that went really, really fast, didn't it? I've only been streaming 25 minutes, and part of the beginning of the stream was going over day 3. Okay, so we can look at the calendar then and go back to day 4. Now, I did read over the beginning part of the problem, so I already started thinking about an approach to doing this. So if you haven't read the problem already, it's basically you have a bunch of bingo boards, and then you have a number of numbers that get called, and then as each number gets called, you mark it off, and then the winner, is the first one with a row or column. It actually says here diagonals don't count. So we're only looking for rows and columns. So might as well get started. Main, we're going to add day 3. Oh, sorry, day 4. This is day 4. Day 04. Day 04. Make sure it fails. I was having a problem on Friday with it not picking up the new so day 4 is basically, okay, we need to get our puzzle input. Well, let's use the test input data here, right, for a test. Oh. I'm just going to set this up now. Use super : star, yeah. Test. Type in test, and I just want to get this pasted in here. Shift this over, add a quote to it, shift this, add a quote, there we go, add quote dot to string, and then I can do the same with all these lines here. How did I get a space on there? Got to string. They all got spaced. All right. Shift those over, and then we have these blank lines here. To string, comma. Like that, right? And this becomes a vector. Input data. And like that. Okay, so I just want to copy that over so we have test data to work on. All right, so next up is we're going to write a board parser. So we need a board. And the board I'm just going to represent as an array of, let's say there's a grid for the board. And I'm going to use I32s because I see that these numbers go from 0 to whatever. So I'll use -1 to mean that the board position has been marked. All right, and then width is going to be usize, and height is usize. That way we can get those, and then we're going to impl the board because we want to be able to create a new board. Size, usize. I guess if it's square, let's just use width or just size, like that. And if it comes and bites me later, then it does. So we can just say board of grid, back new, and size. That's pretty easy. Okay. So what is our first thing we need to do is be able to parse out that line there, and we already did that on the other. We had a very similar code for parsing basically a comma separated list of numbers. So we want to create a number of boards, right? So fn parse boards, and we'll pass it in this input data, which is just going to be a vector of strings. And that's all we need to do. And we're going to return what, a tuple with a vec of I32s. Right, these are going to be these numbers and a vec of boards. Right, so then the first one is just going to be that same thing we did the first time. Let numbers, sure, equals data of 0 dot split by the comma, and then what we do, we mapped it into parse unwrap. Oh, and we gave it a type, right? Back I32, and then we just collected, right? So that's data of 0, and then we're going to start at 2 through here and do that repeatedly until we run out of, for I in 2 to, no, I can't do it this way. I say let mute index equals 2, while index is less than data.len, right? We're going to grab these 3 lines and split them up and then convert them into a board. Sorry, these 5 lines. Index, let's see, for I in 0 to 5. What's it called? Extend, right? Vec extend. I'm trying to thrust vec extend. We can just extend each grid. Let mute grid is equal to vec new. I think vec extend, oh, it's just push. Yeah, I can just push the number, right? Let row vec I32 equals data of index plus I dot split on white space map x dot parse dot unwrap dot collect, right? And then for n in row grid dot push n, and then index plus equals, and then we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to the next board, and then we just return numbers and grid. No, we want to create a vector of boards, right? So after we're done with this, we create a board. Let mute boards equals vec board vec new, right? And then after we're done with creating the board, we say boards dot push board new grid. Oh, and we're just hard coding it to 5 for now. All right, that's the size. I'm looking down here. We're just passing in. Oh, we can just say like this: grid vec I32. All right, so we don't really need a new function then. I was thinking of impl board because we're going to do things to the board, like play a number, right? So now I should be able to, does this check? It checks. Just double check that I'm actually doing a check. Oh, damn. Oh, maybe I need day 06, pub fun. Oh, this is day, what day is this? This is day 4. My brain is still stuck on day 4, not day 6. World. That checks. That checks. That's bad. I thought maybe I needed to test something better here. Nvim source main. Oh, I messed it up. I messed it all up. It does check, but it doesn't really. Yeah, this should be fun, FN. But it still checks. I don't understand how this. Could it be? No, it's not related to that. Well, that's annoying. What's a there's a command to clean, right? To do a full rebuild. Clean, yeah. Cargo clean. Cargo check. Okay. So now it works. I just needed to do a clean. Interesting. Good. Okay, so we have 5 errors. Oh, let's. Oh, vec colon colon. How did I get that basic syntax wrong? What else does it not like? Oh, I didn't do that. And grid didn't exist. Okay. Vec board to help use a struct. Oh, I put an equal instead of colon there. And then board is mismatch board type. Oh, because it's supposed to return a board. Okay, we're down to 4 warnings, and that's probably things aren't being used. All right, so let's write a quick test. We should be able to parse let list and blist. Let's say nlist and blist for number list and board list. And say parse the input data. Will that check? Didn't complain. Oh, parse boards. I wonder what it was doing. And it's not test. Yeah, I don't see day 4 test here at all. It's definitely there. Oh, config tests. Duh. Okay. This should. Yeah. Expected ampersand string found vec. I don't know why cargo check didn't see that. Day 4 test failed. Let's call it something other than test. Test parsing. And the failure was it panicked at line 13. Okay. Oh, maybe because the spaces? I think I can do split white space, right? All right, so that didn't fail. Now I want to say assert EQ nlist is equal to a vector of those guys. Right? We just grab this till the quote and then just paste it in here and see if we parse that correctly. It parsed correctly. All right, and then hopefully the boards all worked. Well, I have no idea. Let's see if we can figure that out. So board 1, what should board 1 look like? B list of 0 should look like a vec of 22, 13, 17. Oh boy, this is going to take a while. 0. Can I just do it this way? 4y, put it here. Get rid of this and this and this and this. Get rid of these guys. And 4 bang search for any number of spaces and replace it with a comma. Nope, no match is found. Really? Any number of spaces and replace it with a comma. G. Nope. All right. I'll just do it by hand. Okay. And then put these up here, comma that, comma that, comma that. And put a bracket at the end. Come on. This. Thank you. All right. That checks. And it does not test. Board cannot be formatted using... Oh. I have to say blist.grid. Pub fun get grid. This is just for testing. Self returns a vec of I32s. Self grid. So blist 0 get grid is going to be equal to this big vector. Doesn't like that. Oh. Can I return a reference then? There we go. And does it test? Oh, vec of integer. So I can say I32 for the first one, and then it should work, and then I might have to put a reference in front. Okay, so that worked. So we're able to parse the board, and we're able to parse the call list. So now what we want to do is write a function on board, because we're going to loop over each board and call the number on it, and then maybe return whether or not it's a winner. Call number, and mutate the self, and n is the number called I32, and we're going to return did the board win, right? Because what we're trying to do is say the score of the winning board can now be calculated. As soon as the board wins, you sum all of the unmarked numbers on that board and then multiply it by the number that was called. So this called plus the sum of all the numbers on the board, which shouldn't be too bad. So we have the board now, which is in self.grid, and now can we get rust vec get index of element. How to find index of an element in array vector or slice? And the answer is use position. Okay. So if let sum n equals self grid iter position and do reference. So we can just say location mock equals called, right? Then we found the number in this board, and what we can do is set self grid of n, which is the index is the location. Let's call it location. That shouldn't be a problem with this. It's -1. And now we want to check for this, whether or not this board is now a winner. And what we can do is, like if we just filled in 24 here, right? We can check the row that 24 is on and the column that 24 is in. and see if they're all -1. And that should tell us whether or not they're a winner. How do we check the row? Is going to be the location divided by the width of the board, the size of the board, sorry, right? Because anything in here, this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We divide by the width of the board, which is 5. That's going to round down to 0. So let row is equal to lock divided by self width, self size, sorry. And likewise, the column is going to be the mod, right? So 0 for this column, 1 for this column, 2 for this column, and so on. So lock mod self size. And then we can just say for I in 0 to 5, we're going to sum them up. Let row sum equals 0. Sorry, let mute row sum equals 0. Let mute col sum equals 0. And we're going to just sum them all up. If so our sum is equal to self grid of I plus row, right? It's going to be plus equals. And then the column sum is going to be self grid of I plus col times size. Or is it? No, it's I times size plus col, right? Right, so it'll be 0 and first time, and then it'll be 5 for 1, 10, 15, 20, and then we'll add the column to get over. Right, and then if R sum equals -5, or C sum is equal to -5, then we have a winner. Right? Oh, and we don't want to return a true or false. We want to return the score of the result. Right? So we want to return, I'm thinking now, we want to return an option. Right? Because we want to be able to say this board has not won, we'll return a none. And if the board has won, then we'll return some. And it's going to be, we need to get the sum of all the numbers that are in the board right now. That sum is equal to self-grid iter. We want to filter out any x where x is not equal to -1. Right? So if it's not -1, then we want to sum it up. And we can just return the sum times called. Hi ModProg. It is a good Monday so far. I was able to blast through day 6 pretty quickly, and so now I've circled back to day 4 to work on this. I was surprised about how easy day 6 was. I found day 3 so far to be the hardest. This one doesn't seem too bad, although it's a lot of programming. All right, and then if we didn't get a winner, then we're just going to return none. Does that check? It does not check. Cannot find value of size because it's self size. I should actually make all of these sizes, right? Self size. And I can't check this for negative. Dang it. I don't know. Hi, General Nova. Good to see you again. This is bugging me now because now I can't check for negative. It's going to be... All right, I'll worry about that later. To do fix size for -5. Okay, and then no implementation for double reference. Why is it a double reference? All right, so we'll dereference it once here and we'll dereference it once here. Okay? Okay, Rust? And then consider giving sum a type. Sum is going to be an I32. That checks with 6 warnings. Why don't we... oh, I hate repeating this input data, but I'm gonna test winner. And now what are we going to do? How are we going to test to see if we have a winner? What we're going to do is we're going to loop over each number that we call and call the number on each board and see if it's a sum instead of a none, right? So we're going to say for, actually we have to loop over, yeah, for all the numbers, call in, oh, you need to call this line here, right? There. Call in end list, right? For each number that we're going to call, now we have to loop over every board. For B in B list, let's say b.call number, call, right? And we say if let sum winner is equal to that, then we have our assert EQ, and for the test data, it's 4512. Winner is 4512. And how do we assert that we actually hit that line? Let mute 1 equals false. 1 equals true. Assert 1. It checks. Does it test? It does not test. Cannot borrow is mutable. Oh, I have to make the B list mutable, right? Cannot borrow B is mutable. Didn't I just... Oh, do I have to put a reference here? Is that the way you do that? It failed. We got 1780 instead of 4512. Okay, so at least we got it to the point where it runs. Let's find out what went wrong. And what we can do is each time we call a board or call a number, we can print out the board, right? But let's see if we can reason out why it might have failed. Let's see where does it fail, right? Print lin calling number this call, and now we have to see cargo test day 04 no capture. All right, so it called 7, 4, 9, 5. So it went all the way here and called number 10, and then there was a win. So it didn't see a win here. So I must not be marking the boards properly. So after each call, let's print out the boards. There's only 3 of them, so there won't be that much output. Right? B dot print. Right, and then we'll just write a quick pub fun print self for row in 0 dot self size, for call in 0 dot self size, print, and we're going to format it with 2, right? Self grid row times self size plus call, and then println here. Yeah, even -1 will work with the format of 2, right? Okay, so let's do that and see what that looks like. Oh, I should have put blank lines between each board. Okay. So called number 7. So there's number 7, right? And there's number 7 on that board in the middle. Yeah, it's hard to read without the blank lines in there. Print when like that, and then we'll see the calling number here, like that. Okay, let's run that. Yeah, now we can read the boards. All right. So that's 7, that's 7, that's 7. That worked. So now we called 4. Oh, after the next six numbers are drawn, we got 21. Calling 11, 17, 23, 2, 0, 14, and 21. The board looks like this, right? And this one definitely has that. And then calling number 24, and this definitely has a winner. All right, so this one is just we're not detecting the win condition. And this one won with a 10. How did this one win with a 10? There must be an off by 1 error I'm doing here, because this wouldn't win after a 10, right? All right. So off by 1 with the checker. Row is location of the thing. All right, so we can print those out. Row column. And make sure those work. And then it's going to be I plus row, which is going to be 0 plus whatever the row. Oh. Yeah, that's backwards. Right? We want it to be I times, no, it's row times self size plus I. That's the bug. I bet you that's the bug. And this failed. Now we got 29. Okay, but this is after number, no, it's after number 10 again. Here, it's definitely winning here. Oh, I could have sworn that was the bug. All right. It's row times self size plus I, right? Because we're going to go through 0. And this is going to go through the columns. All right, so let's do this. Println row column, and see if we're at least picking the right row and column for our tests. So, oh, this is saying 0, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So it's picking the right row and column, but it's summing them up wrong. It must be summing them up wrong because we're not seeing the -5. So let's print those guys out. RSum and CSum. And run that test. And take a look here. What is this coming up with? It is coming up with -5. There is a -5 right there. So it should never call the next number. Oh, you know what? It is calling the next number because I continue. I should just stop. Right? Break, outer, like that. Oh, okay, that was the bug. Wow. So it was finding it, and then it went on to the next board, and it came up with the wrong answer. You still have to do day 4 to 6 mod? Yeah. Yeah. So I did. We can look at my calendar real quick. I just finished day 6 earlier now. Hopefully, I was hoping day 4 wouldn't take this long. But anyway, so we got an answer. This is good. What does our puzzle input look like? It's big. Let's save it as input day 4. Yeah, and we still have to write the code that reads this in, but that, I think we already have that code, right? So now we basically need to, let's move it over. Downloads input day 4 into inputs, right? And then source day 03, because we have it there. Yeah, all I do is this. Create utils and then read file. Okay. Let lines equals read file. Inputs day 04.text. Because we're ready to write this, and this actually, this code here should be a function that we have, right? Find winner given a given this, right? Numbers of Vec I32 and boards Vec board, and it returns the winner value, which is an I32. And this is blinding my eyes right now, so we can make that go away. Okay. So instead of this, we're going to just return, yeah, we'll just say return winner. Because we're going to assume that there's a winner. I was thinking, what can I do about the prints? But I'm not going to worry about the prints right now. I just want to get this. Why is that there? We don't need that. Don't need that. And we're just going to assume that there's a winner. So we don't need an outer. And I forgot to put the closing thing there. End list. Oh, this is numbers. And I forgot the B again. I think my keyboard is starting to go, and this is boards. And this is still complaining because it's expected I32, and I'm not returning an I32 in all cases. And it has to be mutable. Oh boy, this was supposed to go quickly and it's not. Creating a fresh reborrow. Well, it worked. What are all the warnings though? What am I not using? Oh, get grid. Yeah, I'm not using get grid. Okay. But we should have this now, right? I should be able to say println day 4 part 1 and just say find winner. Oh, I gotta parse it first. How do I parse it? I just call parse boards. Yeah. And this is just lines. So end list and B and B list like that. That blows up. This has to be mutable too. I'm going too fast. Okay, so then if I run this, it panics. No such file or directory. Oh, it's input dash. Input dash. I don't know why I have that extra line in there. Okay, run. Oh, that was a test. Run. All right, so day 4. Oh yeah, we got all these prints now. I got to get rid of those. but we have a number. Let's see if it's right. That's the right answer. All right. All right, so how did we do this? We created this massive board structure. Let's check in with Clippy. Clippy, oh yeah, let's get rid of all the extraneous code we use for debugging. So we don't need get grid. And we do need it for testing. Okay. So let's keep that for testing. Where's get grid? Okay. CFG test. Right. We still have 2 warnings. And print. So line 82, which is 83 now because I add the extra thing. So CFG test. 0. Okay, so we're down to 0, and Clippy should be happy. Git add source and inputs. Git commit. Day 4, part 1. Good. What's part 2? Part 2 is combine all the boards into one giant board. On the other hand, it might be wise to try a different strategy. Let the giant squid win. Is that a Star Wars reference? Let the Wookiee win. You aren't sure how many bingo boards a giant squid could play at once, so rather than waste time counting its arms, a safe thing to do is figure out which board will win last, and choose that one. Okay, actually that's not too bad, right? And we have test input here that we can use. I gotta reuse this thing. Oh, that's just getting the grid. This finds the winner. What we're gonna do, what we want to do is once a board wins, right? We want to stop looking at it because we don't want to keep checking because once it wins once, it'll win every single time after that because it's going to have at least one row or one column that wins. So we're going to say 1 is a bool, and we're going to mark it as false. It hasn't won yet. And when we call a number on a board, we're going to say if it already won, then we're just going to return none, saying this is no longer a winner. And then all we need to do is save the last one and print that out. Right? So find winners. We're going to return both the first one and the last one. Right? So let mute first winner equals none. Let's see if we can, if Rust is smart enough first. If first winner equals none, first winner equals winner, and then we'll just say last. This is a sloppy way to do it. No, last winner. It doesn't matter what last winner is. We can actually not use an option on that. We can say last winner is winner. We just keep pumping it in there, and then this will be first winner unwrap followed by last winner. Last winner. Right? Oops. Why did I do that? And then we can just call find winners. Let first last equal those. This one's first. And this one's last, right? And that doesn't work because I messed something up. What did I mess up? That's right. That's right. Complaining about line 10. Oh, up here. Oh, I got an extra close there. Okay. Oh, some winner. Ah, That F1 key is killing me. Okay, that checks. It runs, but it comes up with 0 as the last winner, which is probably not what we want. Yeah, I'm guessing it's not going to be 0. It's going to be small because a lot of the numbers are marked off, but it's not going to be 0 unless they called number 0 as the last one. But I don't think they would do that because that's an easy mistake. It's an easy way to make a mistake is to get 0 there. So let some winner is call, so it returns a winner. The last winner gets saved each time we find a winner. So on the test input, yeah, let's call this function find winners down here in our test. That way we can verify that it worked. So copy that, go down to the test. It uses it, paste that, and then we can just say assert EQ first is equal to 4512. Assert EQ last is equal to 1924. And we get rid of all this code, right? And then test. Oh, that was a run. Test, R and T are right next to each other. Yeah, it came up with 0 for this guy as well. So are we going to print out each winning board? I'm guessing what happens is it fills in everything eventually, and everything's just -1, and so it ends up being 0. But we should be stopping, right? We should be stopping as soon as we win. Oh, duh. I never actually set self 1 equals true. I never set that. Duh. Okay. That was... Now test. That passes. Okay. Run. Day 4 is 2568. That's the right answer. Okay. Thank goodness. All right. So let's check in with Clippy. See if there's any cleanup we can do. No, Clippy's happy. Git add source. Git commit. Day 4, part 2. All right. And I think we have enough time to get started, at least on day 5. I'm a little nervous about doing that because I don't know how long it's going to take. Hi, Ravi. Thank you for joining. Okay. Hydrothermal venture. You come across a field of hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. These vents constantly produce large opaque clouds, so it would be best to avoid them if possible. They tend to form in lines. Submarine helpfully produces a list of nearby lines of vents. For example, this. Each line of vents is given a line segment in the format x1, y1, x2, y2, where x1, y1 are the coordinates of one end of the line segment, and x2, y2 are the coordinates of the other end. All right. Yeah, okay, that makes all sense. For now, only consider horizontal and vertical lines. Lines where either x1 is x2 or y1 is y2. Okay. Okay, and how big is our input? It's pretty big. So this will be input day05.text. Let's move it into place. Downloads, input day5.text into inputs. And I'm going to actually remove, I have day 1 in there still. Downloads, input day 1. All right. So we don't need this anymore. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so it can basically be we can use a regex, and I always forget how to do a regex in, it's crates, right? Crates.io regex. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Can I switch this to dark mode? No, I can't switch that to dark mode. All right, so yeah, so we're going to do regex. We'll add that as a dependency, and then we can parse out. Yeah, we can do capture groups with names, and then we can just use that directly, and then we'll convert them to integers. That should be pretty easy to do, right? First, we'll add that to the the toml, like that, and then cargo run, because now it has to rebuild that, and while I'm thinking about the problem. So what we're going to do is, I think the easiest way to do this, rather than modeling it as a n by n array, we've had problems like this in previous advents of code, and basically the easiest thing to do, the best approach tends to be create a hash map that hashes a tuple of row column to the integer that you care about. This is taking longer than I had hoped it would. So I think, yeah, while that's going on, can I just create a new tab here? Make the window a little bit bigger, documents dev, advent of code. Yeah, so this is going to be, not this. Yeah, that's going to be building for a while. So we can look at, make their source day05, source day05.mod, right? So we can start by adding this regex and come up with a good regex to use. And then model it as a for lines. So do we need a line struct, or we can just do this as a hash map? Fn parse lines is a vec of string, and so we need standard collections hash map. Whoa, what the heck was that? Hash map, and that's going to return a hash map of a tuple to a count, right? And so we're going to say for L in lines, and we're going to create a regex. It's a string, and it's going to be equal to, and this is going to be x1, which is going to be a number of digits, right, comma, what was the format again? Looked like this, y1, and then this. Okay, x1, y1, so, oh, it's a capital P, I missed the capital P. Like that. So P, Y1, and it's going to have an arrow, and then it's going to be the same thing here, right? Except X2, Y2. X2, Y2. Right? And then what we're going to do is basically this. Let caps equals L dot, no. We have to compile it. Doesn't show that here, but okay, so we can just say that. re let re equals reg x new, like that. Re dot captures of L unwrap. And then we're going to get x1, y1, x2, and y2 from those. So x1 is going to be caps of x1, and we're going to parse that. And these are going to be usizes because we're indexing into the, we're going to use these for the hash map here. Parse unwrap, and then x2, x1, y1, x2, and y2. Right? Like that. This should all type check. Of course, okay. We have to, okay, so regex is now going. So if I say cargo run, I should see DO5. Oh, I don't. Right, because I don't have it in main yet. Right here. And we'll put it here, DO5, DO5, like that. And now it blows up. Good. So this should be an equals. Println should be a bang. DO5 is a private function. Captures does not work. Oh, I have to unwrap this. And now we're not returning the right thing. Okay, that's fine. So we got everything else working. So now what we're going to do is create, we're only considering horizontal and vertical lines for now. So we can say if x1 is equal to x2 or y1 is equal to y2, then we're going to, can these be backwards? Right, in other words, yeah, so this 6 to 5, 6, something in the 600s is something in the 500s. So let's swap those around, right? So we can say if x1 is equal to x2, then we're going to check to see start y is equal to if x, let's do it this way. If y1 is less than y2, then start y and y is equal to this, and we're going to just have a bunch of repeated code. That's okay. Y1 is less than y2, then it's y1, y2. Else, and I'll just put this on one line, y2, y1. Right, and that way start y is always less than end y, and we're going to do the same thing for the x's in the next block. And then I say for y in start y to end y, and we're going to say, and now we have the hash map. So we're going to need to create a brand new hash map. Let hm is equal to hash map new, and this is going to be the hash map of type hash map usize, usize, usize. Right, like that. And then Rust hash map or default. That's what I remember from the previous advent of code. Or default. There we go. So it's just entry. So we say hm entry of x1. Doesn't matter if we use x1 or x2 and y. Or default plus equals 1. I think I have to put a star in front of it. Else if y1 equals y2, then we do the exact same code except flip it around x's and y's. Right? This is start x and end x. x, 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 x. And then these y's, oops, become x's. And then we have y1 here and x here. All right? So this should set the rows and columns and add 1 for each one, right? Right, because this intersects here, we get a 2 here. At how many points do at least 2 lines overlap? And that should be straightforward because it's any value where the value of the hash map is greater than 1, right? And we just count those up. Do we have a hash map, Rust, hash map, iterate values? How to iterate through a hash map. I just want to get iterate over map keys and values. Oh. I don't want to iterate. We should just be able to get values, right? Into values. This says key. Returns a reference to this entry. Oh, this is the entry. This is not a hash map. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. I want to look at hash map. Rust hash map. There we go. Yeah, into values or iter. Oh, we have keys. Do we have values? Yes, we have values. Perfect. Okay. So we can just return hm.values, right? And filter on x where x is greater than 1, and then just count those guys as usize. And that doesn't work. Oh, because of this thing again. Oh, I'm solving it. Solve part 1. So let's just return it. And this the hash map has to be mutable. All right, so let's write a test. Mod tests, use super test, then test part 1, and we're going to just grab this input and do the same thing we did last time, creating a vector out of it. Let lines is equal to bang, and then right, and then do the same thing down here. Quote to string, comma, it does that, close the vec. Okay, so now we can say assert equal bang solve part 1 lines. Do I have to pass a reference? And it should be 5. Cargo check fails. Oh, wow, I am going way too fast. Test. Day 5 test part 1 failed. It option unwrap none value on line 14. Okay. Oh, we failed to capture. We failed to capture. Did I do this capture thing wrong? Oh yeah, I left the digits off of here. D+. Okay, yeah, that's my grade on this particular regular expression is a D+. All right, test. All right, so we came up with 0, and the correct answer is 5. So what do we do wrong here? Can I dump the hash map? Will the debug dumper work on that? HM? Let's find out. Cargo test, day 05, no capture. All right. They're all ones. So let's see, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the x coordinate, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm doing something wrong. X1, Y1, X2, and Y2. So those are all correct. We can println those values and make sure they match up with Y1, X2, Y2. Make sure they all match up with the actual input. And do they? 0, 9, 5. Oh, that's weird. Oh, no, that's not weird. That's me being dumb. Huh. Yes, that's me being very, very dumb. X2. No, X1, Y1, X2, Y2, X1, Y1, X2, and Y2. Wow, that's me being super dumb. Okay. So we don't need to do that anymore. Let's run that as a test. Is that the bug? That was the bug, right? There it is, day 5 test part 1. Okay. So now, to run the real thing, let's read the input. I'm just going to grab this line here, put it there, grab this line here, put it there, change that to a 5, and then we're going to say println day 05 part 1, this solve part 1 for the lines. Run. 4728. Does that sound reasonable? It sounds extremely reasonable. Okay. So that's day 5, part 1. Let's check in with Clippy, see if there's any cleanup. Nope. Git add source and inputs. Git commit. Day 5, part 1. And let's push that up. All right, and then what's part 2? We're almost done. We're almost done. Almost done. Unfortunately, considering only horizontal and vertical lines doesn't give you the full picture, you need to also consider because of the limits of the hydrothermal vent mapping system, the lines in your list will only ever be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal line. Okay, so that makes the line drawing a lot easier, right? It's deterministic that way. I was suddenly worried we were going to have to implement anti-aliasing, and that would have been crazy. Okay. So solve, all we need to do, so we've got part 1 solved here. We can loop over the lines again and look for diagonals. Or we can be clever and create a separate list of lines. I'm going to be clever and create a separate list of lines. Diags. It's a vec of usize, 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 usize. This is extremely readable code, right? It was vec new. Basically, I'm just going to shove the x and y values into that vector. Else diags dot push x1, y1, x2, y2. Right? And then we can say let part 1 is equal to this. Right? And then we're going to say for d in diags, right? We'll just loop over all the diags. Maybe we have to do that. I don't know. Sometimes Rust prefers that. And then just say let part 2 is equal to the exact same calculation. after we've added in all the diagonals, and then just return part 1, part 2. Right, and then up here, before I forget, let's do that. And up here, before I forget, let's do that. And we're going to change this called solve both parts, both prats. Both parts. Let part 1, part 2 equals that. Okay. And then part 2 becomes this. All right, so now that we've done all that, let's do the work that we need to actually do. So the diagonal, so again, we could have the diagonal going from top left to bottom right, or top right from bottom left, or it could go the other way, or it could go the other way. So we have to determine which way we're going. All right, and making these U sizes now, I'm regretting because now I can't do negatives. So we'll just do this the simple way. We're going to say let x1, we'll destructure this again. x2, y2 is equal to d. Right, so now we're going to say if we'll start at x1 and make our way to x1, y1 and make our way to x2, y2. So what we will do is first do this, right? I'm going to make these mutable so we can step our way. Since we're guaranteed to be diagonal, we can just increment or decrement each one at a time. If x1 is less than x2, then we want to add 1 to x1, otherwise we want to subtract 1. Right? And if y1 is less than y2, then we want to move y1 closer to y2. Otherwise we want to move it closer this way, y1 minus equals 1. Oh, and then we need to loop on this. Until while x1 is not equal to x2, right? Shift all those guys in. We're setting the first one. We need to set the last one. So we got to unfortunately do this twice. There's probably a better way to do this. But once we've done that, now we can just calculate these guys. It does not check because I'm missing a closing thing there. Expected U size found reference to U size. That's interesting. So when I declare them mutable, they become U sizes, but if I leave them not, then they become references. Can I do this? Or will that double it? Yeah. Okay. So I just need to, oops. What line is giving us error? It's right here. Do I have to do that for the ifs? I do have to do that for the ifs. Okay. We solved 3 errors. Oh, star. Duh. All right. I'm going to cargo test this outside of NVim in case we suddenly end up with an infinite loop. Oh, can't do that until I solve both parts. And it's 5. And what are we expecting here? 12. Okay. 12. This is still here. That's bad. I should have cleaned that up. Why didn't I clean that up? This failed though. What did we get? Attempting to subtract with overflow. Did I get this backwards? If y1 is less than y2, what line are we on? It should be on one of those subtraction lines, right? 55. Yeah. If x1 is less than x2, then we add 1. If y1 is less than y2, then we add 1. Otherwise, we subtract 1. If it's equal, it shouldn't be equal before x is equal, right? Oh, once it hits equal, then we got to stop. But it should stop here, right? Okay, I'm not going to... x1 is greater than x2. And then y1 is greater than y2. All right, I don't have the patience to figure out why that is a thing. We got 511 instead of 512 because we're missing something. Oh boy. We set the first one here, and then we try to move things along. And I think, And then we set it here, right? And we add 1. And if I don't do this first one here, well, why don't we put this here and then put this here? Because that way we'll hit the equality condition, right? No, we're still hitting 11. Is there some input that I'm not considering? This is going from the start to the end. Start to the end. We know that. Whoops. Okay, I don't know how to make it bigger now. Resize. There we go. Okay. We destructure that. We'd say while we're not equal, we're going to set that plus 1. And we're going to move x and y along. What I should be able to do here is that x1 is less than x2. Oh, yeah. y1 is less than y2. I'm not mixing things up. I just want to get this done. I'm not sure what... Let me just pull up my Twitch panel here, see what's going on. Refresh that. Oh, I forgot to put advent of code. Oh, I forgot to change my stream. Wow. Okay. I should have said day 6. Why isn't this working? So once x1 is equal to x2, we're going to set it here. All right, so let's print out the diagonals because we can see what the diagonals are. Actually, it might be easier this way, right? That'll save me some typing, and then we can say println set x1, y1. And then we'll put that down here as well, and then we can see which ones we're missing, because we're missing one of them. So we're going to say cargo test day 05, no capture, and doesn't build, because I keep forgetting to do that on this guy too. Oh, I forgot to do the no capture. Oh, I did do the no capture. Okay. So it found a few diagonals. Oh, really? 80 to 88? That's not a diagonal. Huh. 80 to 88. It should be 80 to 08. Oh, I see it. I see it. This is x2, y2. Oh, man. All right, let's get rid of these prints. Check. Test. Okay, that passes. All right. And then we have solvable parts already in there, so cargo run. And day 5 is 17,717. I like that number. It's got to be a good number. And it's a great number because it solves part 2. Okay. What can we do for cleanup? The first thing I want to do is Clippy. And Clippy is saying if chain can be written with a match. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. I'm not gonna. And the other thing I want to do is 04. There's this print function. Just print like that. Oh, I have config test on it. Oh, but it's never, test isn't calling it. That's why. There's no test that actually calls this anymore. So I can just get rid of it, which I will do right now. Like that. All right, so I will worry about this later. I've got everything solved. I am way over my normal stream time. Add source. That's just everything, right? Oh. Oh, that's bad because I checked in part 1. I checked in part 1 without having that there. That's bad. Commit -m day 5 part 1 2. All right. I'm gonna call that a stream. Let's see who we can go to. There's only 3 of us, but we can still see who's up. Oh, Togglebit is up and Raphael is up. Let's go to Raphael. I'm not sure what he's doing, but I'm sure it's fun. Let me just pull up his stream real quick here. And see. Oh, I typoed his name. Luba. Yeah, there he is. Oh, he's working on a Jai compiler with auto-generating C bindings. Let's see if Togglebit's doing Rust. He usually is. Yep, and he's explaining it very, very animatedly as he does. So why don't we go raid Togglebit? And thanks for joining. And I will see you tomorrow with Advent of Code Day 7.